The financial management of the organization, including the president, and it doesn't have to be just a treasurer, can get whatever information they want. The idea of financial statements is providing information to the external users, and that could be to the board members, financial statements availability to the donors, to constituents and constituent meetings, to creditors, to higher organizations, to others. So normally when we think about users, we're talking about external users. This has all sorts of implications. First off, the idea is that the user is an average person who is well informed. Okay, an average well informed person. They do not need to be, shouldn't have to be accountants or have accounting training to understand the financial statements. But it also means that some of the people on the board will have no clue what they're looking at or only limited value to them. And so we're trying to strike a middle ground between it being so simplified that there's not enough information there to make meaningful decisions and not so complex that you have to be highly trained. We're trying to strike a balance between those two. This balance means a couple things. First off, the financial statements are not supposed to be the primary information tools for the treasurer. So the treasurer has to be careful about not including the information the treasurer wants. So the treasurer needs to know the status of each of the different bank accounts, but the board member user doesn't need to know the name of the accounts and the balances in every one of those accounts. Sometimes too much information will confuse and sidetrack the user from the really important points. For example, you might have an accounts receivable with one of the employees that's a large, sort of out of control balance. Well, that is an important issue for the treasurer to address, but it shouldn't be distracting board members of, why is this guy not paying the money he owes us, when in fact they ought to be focusing on the bigger issues. The financial statements are never intended to be all the information about the financial information about the organization, just what external users need. Also, board and the president, it's a fair to request more information. So if there's a large accounts receivable and you're really curious, accounts receivable balances like at a school, to get a detailed listing of the school's receivables might be something you need, or aging that you need. But we're not going to include that in the financial statements for everybody in the whole world. uh, the board and the president, the leadership can get more information. So the standard financial statements need to be somewhat clear, and maybe the word simplified is not the right word, but you get the idea, not cluttered with all kinds of bits of information.